Hello, I'm Bonnie Rabikoff, host of In the Kitchen with Bonnie. We are in the Marina Bay Club at the Marina, Grog, and Galley, and we're talking to the owner of this fine restaurant, Jack Schwindler. Jack, thank you for inviting us to your lovely restaurant.
It's our pleasure.
So, the first baby born at Lake Lotawana, you have a history here.
My folks were one of the first ones to live out here year-round, and I was conceived here and was delivered in the city. But I'm the original lake rat, and that's what all the kids call themselves here at the lake as they grow up.
And so this was a marina.
This building was an old marina.
And then its history evolved.
There was a gentleman that petitioned the lake to put in a bar, and the bar did very, very well as a bar. But our idea was to buy the bar, close it up, open up a restaurant, fine dining by the water, which Kansas City didn't have anything like it. And we didn't know anything about the restaurant business.
But you knew about food. How many years were you a food broker?
I was a food broker for 32 years.
So you knew what quality was.
I was very fortunate to be on the board of directors of a lot of large corporations, Nabisco, General Foods, Heinz, and got to eat in a lot of very fine restaurants. And I love food, and I felt this would be a destination restaurant. So we opened, not knowing where we were going, what we were going to serve. But we started out serving food that we enjoyed eating, and people liked it. And we kind of ran things different. We had our menu, and then we'd have specials that were about $10 higher than what the normal price was on the menu, and people would buy the specials. So that told us we could go to fine dining.
You could go to fine dining. And one of your inspirations in an earlier conversation was the French Laundry in Sonoma.
Yes.
And how did that change what you do here?
Well, there's a room that we're in, the Bay Club, which we added 4.5, 5 years ago. And we put in fine dining, a table that would seat 18 people. We do 6, 8, 10, and 12-course meals. They can go back between the courses and visit the kitchen and watch the next course being prepared. Today, we still do some of that, but it has also become our adult dining room. And there someone can come and have a very special quiet evening.
So the other dining spaces are more for casual dining, and of course you have the beautiful outdoor area. And again, you began this restaurant because you liked fine dining and were wanting to create a destination here at Lake Lotawana from what had been an old marina facility.
That's right, where they repaired boats and people came to get gas.
Do they still get gas here?
I have to sell gas.
See, Jeff?
It's really a profit maker. You know, there's not a year I've made money on the gas, but it's a service that we provide for the lake because we operate under a special use permit, or at least we used to. Now we're a licensed restaurant, and I don't know. It's been so much fun and so many memories, and to see this evolve to what we are today. We're very fortunate to be ranked very high in the Kansas City market as far as dining experiences, whether it be our deck or our food or our service. And I'll be 70 next month, and
Happy birthday!
Well, I'm looking forward to many, many more years.
Well, we hope you will. You've provided an excellent dining experience for this area. You know what? Fun is a very important ingredient. One of the themes that we're hearing with our top restaurants and chefs is that commitment to quality. And when you and I first spoke, you talked about what part of the container that you want the fish that you import every day or several times a week from Hawaii.
Hawaii, we get fish that's caught daily. What's caught today, we have tomorrow. From the East Coast, the boats can be out 5, 6, 7 days, and I've been on those boats and went out and watched them catch the fish. And I followed the fish, and say from the Marina, Grog, and Galley, I wanted the last catch, which would be the top of the boat. Well, those boats are out 6 or 7 days, and there's nothing wrong with the bottom, except they're 5, 6 days old. And when they bring it on shore, it takes a day to go through the auction, a day to get here. You know, you're looking at fish that's 7, 8, 9 days old, been refrigerated properly, never frozen. So I would order the top of the boat, and they'd look and say, this guy at Lake Lotto 1 in Missouri doesn't know the top of the boat from the bottom. So this is why most of our fish comes from the Hawaiian Islands, because the fish has a little bit higher, not fat content, but flavor content, because it's almost like a tree, the little sap. You can tell how many years a tree is old, and each year it's added a little more flavor to the fish.
So the special care you take with selecting the fish, your beef is fabulous as well. At all the years being a food broker, you've become very selective about what comes into the restaurant before your talented chef ever begins cooking it.
That's right.
So what kind of care with the beef when you...
The beef comes from L&C Meat Company. They're in Independence, Missouri. Jerry Lively has sold us our beef from day one. He's the only certified dry-aged, government-inspected plant in the United States. And the beef comes in here, it's got marble in it, it's got flavor from the dry age. It's already hung and lost its weight, so when we say we have a 12-ounce filet, when it's
12-ounce filet.
you get a, well, 11.8.
Okay.
It doesn't shrink while it's cooking, where if you have a wet aged steak, it shrinks almost 20%. But the flavor and its texture is just outstanding. And Amy and the kitchen staff, every staff that comes in, it's inspected again. And when somebody gets a little lazy the way they're cutting, it goes back. And Jerry gives me a credit. He doesn't argue with our staff, and he's told his group not to argue with it.
So there's an expectation that when the food arrives here, it's going to be of excellent quality.
That's right.
What other special care are you taking with other food products as they come into?
Well, first thing I go to is the crab legs that we bring in from the Barren Sea. Crab legs are just a special commodity, and they're on our menu, and they're on there at a price. We don't put market price on anything. But with our crab legs, we have the crab legs packed a special way. No one else in town gets them the way we do. I'm not going to tell you the way they come in.
Okay.
But
It'll be our secret, Jack.
We have whole product, okay? And we're able to bring in the boats. Each boat cooks their own crab legs in there that's caught. And then they are frozen, quick frozen.
So this is a venture for you and your wife. You mentioned she's the boss, which explains why she's at the golf course.
That's
today.
right.
She's
a wonderful golfer, and she is 8 years younger than I. And as long as she plays
child
golf,
bride.
As long as she plays golf, I get to be a restaurant operator. And
good deal.
I don't want to sit down. I'm going to die standing up, trying to do something.
Probably hand-picking the food as it's coming into.
Or tasting it.
Tasting
That's the other thing.
Well, Jack, we appreciate your inviting us into your restaurant and all the special care that you take with selecting each food product as it comes in the door. It's appreciated and valued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, we're in the restaurant of the Marina, Grog, and Galley, and I'm talking to their executive chef, Amy Presson. Amy, thank you for inviting us into your restaurant.
You're welcome.
We'll be going into your kitchen. You started out as a psychology major. Isn't this a bit of a leap?
It is. It is. I graduated from the University of Kansas in psychology and worked for a couple of years in that profession, and just decided that that wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So at that time, I decided to go back to school and go to culinary school and continue.
So, Cullen, did you just enjoy cooking when you were younger? Or?
I didn't do a lot because I had a stay-at-home mom who did absolutely everything. And so I had a grandmother and a mother who were very inspiring as far as cooking. And then when I went away to school and did it on my own, I found that I really enjoyed it, and that that was something that I had a real interest in. I went to Johnson County to their culinary program.
Great program.
It is. I highly recommend it.
And you did your learning there, and I know that part of that is internships. And
it's a big part
where
of
did that take you?
That's a big part of it. I originally started at Parkway Market in Fairway.
We still miss that.
Yes, it was an awesome place. And then after that, then I finished up my apprenticeship here, and then
They didn't let you go.
they didn't let me go. I didn't want to go.
That's not. So you were doing prep work and
Right, when I originally started here, I just did prep work and chopping of things, and then just moved up from there.
You decided you weren't dangerous. Let's
Right.
give you something else
Gave
to
me
do.
a chance, yes.
Your passion is pastry?
I really love to bake. I really love to bake, and
For those of us who bake, we know that that is an exact science, or pretty close.
it is, and I think that that's something that, you know, I learned in school as well. Chef Sweeney was my baking instructor, and he was very adamant about how it is an exact science. The things that we do, everything from scratch. So,
And we just heard from Jack the very special care he takes selecting the products that you are fortunate enough to be able to work with.
yes.
So how do you approach your cooking? It's
Well, we obviously want to do everything as fresh as possible, and unique. We don't like to, you know, necessarily do something that everybody else is doing. We want it to be familiar, but just our own twist of things.
so when you come into the Marina, Grog, and Galley, you'll frequently have a dish you've not had before, although the ingredients might be familiar to you.
Correct.
But it's a new composition of the foods, and obviously great care taken with your presentation.
We do, and we do have a fairly large menu, so we feel like, you know, there's something for everyone, even though we do specialize in steak and seafood. But, you know, and that's something that we instill in our employees as well, from the front of the house to the back, that we want them to have a great experience, but that we do take great care in what we're doing.
So what's your inspiration? You come in every day. How do you keep up that enthusiasm and creativity? Is it changing out the menus? Is it,
Well,
where does that come from?
Well, one of the reasons that I changed professions is I want to do something different every day, and so that it was something new at all times. And something that we do change every week is our fish special. We do change our menu about every 6 months or so. And sometimes we take things off and they get requested and they're put back on. And but
The diners have a way of telling you,
most definitely.
and that's a good thing, and that they feel comfortable doing
Right,
so.
right, and I mean, we're here to please. That's what it's all about.
If you were to name the huge inspiration for your work, what might that be? An experience, a dinner, a teacher?
I'd say probably the first person that I thought was extremely innovative that was inspiring to me, it was Charlie Trotter. And Mary and I one year went to Chicago and dined there, and I was just blown away. And so I think he is always in front of everybody else, as well as Thomas Keller, who is amazing as well.
Amazing.
Very amazing. And
Have you had the good fortune to eat at the French Laundry?
I have not.
Me neither.
I would love to.
Yeah,
Jack did.
Jack did, and thus this room. But,
Correct.
But so Charlie Trotter was eating his food as an inspiration.
It was, and just the things that he paired together that you would think, how did that happen, and how does his mind work? And so, and just his things are really beautiful, and it may just be a little simple additive on the plate, but you just saw things that now you see that you hadn't seen before.
So he's been a trendsetter.
I
in the world
believe,
of food.
I think so. I think he's really great.
And that has served as an inspiration for you.
Especially when we do the small plates in this dining room, when we do the multi-course meals, along with Jack dining at Thomas Keller's French Laundry, but Charlie Trotter does a lot of small plates, multi-course meals.
I think people enjoy that because you get to sample so many flavors, and that they would have an opportunity to talk with you during this time is a special
It is.
experience. for you as well, because of the interaction. You get immediate feedback to what you're
Most
doing.
definitely.
So now we're going to go back in the kitchen, and Amy and I are going to prepare a signature dish. Hello, I'm Bonnie Rabikoff, and we are in the kitchen with Executive Chef Amy Presson of Marina, Grog, and Galley. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Once again for inviting us in. We had a wonderful chat, and now we're going to do it. We're going to make this incredible snapper. And it has several pieces and parts to it, none of which are hugely complicated.
Right.
It's just about preparing them and getting them ready to bake off in a second.
Right.
But we're going to show you how to do it if you feel courageous enough, while you're a foodie, to do this. First thing is the mango puree.
Right.
This mango has very little green on it. How do you
Right.
pick?
You definitely don't want it to be rock hard, because when you peel a mango, it should be pretty orange and not a green, which is gonna, if it looks like this all the way around, it's going to be greener. And you do want it to give a little bit to
Okay.
the touch. You know, this is my tool of the trade, so anytime you're going to use something that's, do something with something that's unstable, you always want to have a flat base. So always cut off the bottom and the top.
And that gives you your base.
That gives you your base.
So you begin on its little end, and then begin peeling down the side.
Then we're going to peel down the side. When you take off the top, you can kind of feel it, but the best thing to do is just put your knife in the middle and then kind of work outward until you feel that you can go all the way down.
Nice. All right. And how much orange juice are we going to add to this
We're
mango?
going to add just about a cup.
All right. So the orange juice and the mango on the stove. The orange juice is reducing a little bit. The mango's going to change color and get soften up. And while we're doing that, we're going to prepare the crust for our snapper.
Correct.
And I've been given the assignment of chiffonading the basil, which simply means you just take the leaves off, and you'll tell me how much, make a little cigar, and cut away.
That's right.
And-
And it's best to
Oh, it
always
smells-
take the biggest ones to kind of make your base, and then put the little ones in the middle to roll it up.
Okay, well, see, I just learned something, which is probably why my little leaves are always running all over the place. The few minutes that it takes to stack them up is well worth it in terms of, and so we roll this up into a cigar. Oh, the smell is just such heaven. And then begin at this end.
Correct.
And just do that. Now, if I can do this, you all can do this, and it's pretty.
This actually is used for chopping herbs and things, but we're going to use it today because we want to contain our toasted macadamia nuts.
Before we went to cut up the macadamia nuts, had you put them in the oven and
did.
roasted them? And this is the color you're looking for, just a toasty looking color.
Right, they're lightly toasted because we're going to cook them again on the fish.
And did you put any seasoning oil, just
No.
dry roast?
They
Just dry.
have a lot of oil in them
They
anyway,
do, they do.
so they really don't need anything else.
Now we're going to make the vinaigrette for the dish. Again, there are two sauces on the plate. One's the puree, the other's the vinaigrette.
Right, that we're going to bottle.
And we're going to put it in what I call ketchup bottles, and you store it that way, and it's great for doing the garnish.
Right, and
Okay.
both of the bottled products can be made ahead of time. So we're going to start with some lime juice,
And how much lime juice?
we just need a 1/4 cup of lime juice,
Okay.
another 1/4 cup of lemon juice,
And
Very
orange
good.
juice. And so the orange juice has been in the mango puree, so we're having several
Right, and
different
this is-
flavors, and this sweetens it up a little.
It does. We need 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, which you
I
have.
do have that.
And the ginger is just adding to, you know, the tropical feel of the whole
Give us a
dish.
little spice.
Right.
So we've got sweet and sour and spice.
Right.
Okay, next.
We need a teaspoon of kosher salt. I like
Teaspoon.
using the kosher salt.
Yeah, and I hear that it's just a different depth of flavor.
It is. And you could add less if you want. You know, it's really to taste.
Okay.
But because there's so many tart ingredients. And then we're going to add 2 oils to this. We use sesame oil in this dish because it is more Asian inspired. So we're going to use a little bit of sesame oil. We're only going to use a 1/4 cup of that.
I so like And that's the toasted sesame oil.
We forgot our rice vinegar.
Okay, we're gonna do that now. How
We
much
need
rice
2
vinegar?
tablespoons of
Okay,
that.
and please remember to get an unseasoned rice vinegar so that you don't disturb the flavors.
So let's go ahead and let's just stir this up and add the little bit of oil that we're going to use. And then our main oil that we're using is going to be olive oil. So we're just kind of adding the sesame to add some real nice
working.
flavor. Really nice flavor. And you can do this as thick or as thin as you want. We're going to add, about a cup of olive oil, but if you want it thinner or not, that would be great. What we're doing now is emulsifying. And you can do this in the processor if you don't want to do this by hand.
And so emulsifying is the process of blending oil with a non-oil, and it just thickens up beautifully. And then even after it sets a while, you can just re-whisk it if it starts separating.
Right, and since we're going to put it in a bottle, you just shake it up. Even simpler. Right.
You know, it took 2 or 3 minutes
Right.
to prepare this, so it's not terribly time consuming, and you're not dealing with exotic ingredients. It's worth it. This fresh, bright flavor is captured by doing this.
Right, most definitely.
Okay. Now we're going to prepare the risotto. And
Right.
it's not actually a rice dish, but
Right.
you're calling it risotto because it has that process.
Right.
Okay. So what do we need to do, Chef?
Okay, we're going to start off with some leeks. And I like the leeks, but you can also use a mild onion or green onion. And it's on a leek, the only thing that you use is basically the white part. I go a little bit further up, but
Okay.
there is a lot of waste in a leek. So you take off the end like you would any other. And one thing about leeks is that they are very dirty. I've already kind of taken off the ugly parts, but they really hold a lot of soil. So when I cut a leek, I generally go ahead and cut it lengthwise.
Double check that you've cleaned it enough, and you
Right.
obviously have. And then, so you, what I call half moons, that's
Right.
going to cut up into a half moon.
Right. And so if you want to go ahead and cut that up, and just so that I know that they are really clean, I still go ahead and put it in a sieve and run some water over it.
So how many leeks are we going to use?
We're just going to use one small leek, just again, because we're just doing a couple of servings.
Oh, those are
The
gorgeous
shiitakes,
shiitakes.
they are really nice.
So when you go to pick a shiitake, what are you looking for?
Well, you don't want it to be discolored, obviously, or too dark. Like these are getting on the edge of being, a little bit too ripe per
Fairly
se.
white.
Fairly white and firm. But these are ones that you definitely have to stem.
Right, because this is so chewy and not particularly the flavor you're looking for.
We're just going to stem these, and we're using just about a cup of these.
Do you want me to
Yeah,
slice
go ahead
them?
and slice them.
Okay.
We're gonna add minced garlic, and we're just using 1 clove. We've already minced it up and fine.
Would a garlic press work okay?
Oh,
for
most
that?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to always use a knife, but
Sure.
a garlic press is perfect. So just 1 clove will do it for this serving.
So what we're at the stove now. We have all of the ingredients in place for our risotto.
Right.
So what are we doing, Amy?
Well, we are heating up our sesame oil, and to the hot sesame oil, we're adding our garlic and our rinsed leeks. So go ahead and add those. We're going to cook these about halfway because it's a fairly long process. So we're stirring these up.
And what we're looking for is for the leeks to get soft. They color up immediately because of the sesame oil, but
Right.
you're just looking for a soft texture.
And we need to add our sliced shiitakes.
Gorgeous.
So we're adding those. And these will change color. They will get a little bit darker. Next component that we're going to add is corn. On that, you can use fresh corn, frozen corn that has been thawed. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. So
Just pinches of each.
pinches of each. Use, of course, ground black pepper. And we're just going to cook this until it's pretty much heated all the way through.
Here we are with our vegetables warmed up, our chicken broth warm, and what's the next step?
Well, I'm going to use a ladle just because it is a really hot product, and it's something easily that you can use to add to your risotto. So we're going to slowly add that in about a cup. You want it to about 3/4 cover all your vegetables, so that if we had too much in it, it would be a little bit too soupy and it would be the consistency that we want. And if you happen to add too much, the thing that you can do is heat it to where it reduces. So we've added the broth. We're going to turn it back up on high and let that come to a boil, so that when we add the cornmeal or the polenta, it will immediately cook. Because adding that to a cool dish, it just doesn't bind very well.
So how much polenta do we want?
Let's start off with 2 tablespoons. We're going to do 2 tablespoons each of the cornmeal. Yep. So that it doesn't get lumpy, you want to sprinkle it around just like that and stir it up. And then just let that cook for a little bit because it needs to almost be boiling so that it isn't grainy. And then let's go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of the Parmesan cheese.
Which is going to act as a thickening agent also.
Right. And at this point, since your polenta or your cornmeal is cooked, go ahead and turn it off so that you're not going to burn at the bottom of your pan.
And I notice you're continually, which you pretty much do with the risotto.
Exactly.
You're at the stove for this period of time, and maybe it takes 5 or 6 minutes, but you are at the stove.
Right.
And you can already see the mixture thickening up.
Right.
Now we're getting ready to make the potato tiles. We've washed them, we've scrubbed them, they're dry, ready to go. Yukon Gold, and
And so we're going to just go ahead and take the bottom off. Again, we want to have a flat spot. And normally you would use a guard. Since I'm just going to do a couple for you today, we're not going all the way down, but for safety purposes.
Don't do this without a guard.
Right. Which you would put on top of this and go forward. So we're going to make a couple of slices.
And so this is the thickness that we're looking for. What is this, a 1/4 inch or?
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to drizzle some olive oil on it, which will also keep it from sticking. We're going to do both sides.
And salt and pepper both
Just
sides?
salt and pepper, and then turn them over.
Again, kosher salt and fresh cracked black pepper. It really makes a difference if you use fresh cracked pepper.
Most definitely.
Because it's a brighter flavor.
And we're going to put them in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes.
At what temperature?
At 350 to 375, depending on how your oven runs.
And what are we looking for? We're not looking for necessarily golden, just cooked.
It just needs to be cooked through. We don't want a crunchy product.
Okay. All right, we're getting ready for
Crusting the fish.
the crusting the fish, the main event.
Right.
Yes. And I've noticed we changed out cutting boards, that for raw fish you're using a different cutting board than we use for cutting up vegetables.
Right. I tend to save blue boards for raw fish and then a red board for raw meat.
Okay. All right. Not a bad plan to do at home. They're not expensive items. This is a gorgeous piece.
It is.
What are we looking at?
This is Hawaiian blue snapper, what we have flown in from Honolulu.
So if we didn't have access to Hawaiian snapper, what would you recommend as a substitute?
Right. I would say if you can't find any snapper, you could always use a red snapper. It's going to be a little heavier as far as the flavors of a snapper. And then the other thing that you can do that is readily available is tilapia.
Okay, all right. So earlier we put together the crust, which was toasted macadamia nuts crushed with a chiffonade of basil.
Right.
And now what are we going to do to bring that together?
We are going to just crust that on top. So we're going to put it on top.
Just kind of press it on?
Yep, press it on a little bit. And then we're going to add a little bit of the sesame oil just to kind of make it stick.
Now, no salt and pepper?
No?
Not at this point, because our other layers have those flavors in
Right.
it. And I will tell you, there's absolutely no odor coming up from this fish. Please, when you're at the fish counter, ask the monger to smell the fish.
Right, it's a great
So,
idea.
yeah.
Medium high. I turn it on high just to get the sesame oil really hot, and then you can turn it down just so you're not splattering.
Okay,
But we're gonna put the fish crust side down into, you can hear it sizzling, and then we're going to go ahead and press the other side while it's cooking.
so, just be careful that you don't get burned, so you don't want it so high that you would, but we're not.
That's good. And we're just gonna add a little bit of oil And then as this is cooking, as you can see on the very end, it's getting white. So as this cooks upward, it will get white. So that's when it gives you a good indication of when to turn it over.
We've got fish and potato tiles and risotto and our garnishes in a beautiful little orchid. Make it beautiful, Chef.
Okay, we're gonna start with the base of the Yukon potato tile that we just took out of the oven that's really warm. And then we're going to add the corn risotto. So if you wanna put a couple of tablespoons
On top
that.
of the potato?
Yes.
Okay.
It's our next layer. Right, you can add a little bit more if you'd like.
I can do that.
And then we're going to add half of the fish. And so this is our finished product that we're just going to cut in half. So you cut it in half and you take the most level piece to put in this middle layer.
Okay.
So that's going to be this inside. Then we just repeat the process. Add one of your brown Yukon potato tiles.
Some more corn risotto.
Kind of squish it on there to make that layer nice.
Oop, one fell in my mouth. Oh dear.
And then you add the last piece of your fish, which is the last component for your tower. And just kind of press it down so that as you're serving, it's going to stay where it is. So that's it on as far as the stacking of the fish. And then the next part is your garnish, which is your puree. And here we are, you can see that this is separated as far as our citrus our vinaigrette. So we're gonna shake that up and just drizzle it on the plate and on the fish, not too heavy. And the same thing, I just kinda like to go the other direction with your puree. And then for the final piece of it is you add this colorful orchid, Hawaiian orchid.
It can be an orchid, but it could also be nasturtium or any other edible flower.
Right.
That is art. I think we have someone anxiously awaiting to taste this.
Great.
Chef Amy Preston and I have just prepared a blue Hawaiian snapper encrusted with macadamia nuts, layered with potato tiles, and then garnished with a mango puree and a vinaigrette. What to drink? To answer that question, we have restaurateur Jack Schwindler. Jack, what are we going to drink with this incredible dish?
Isn't it a wonderful dish?
It was a wonderful dish. I sampled it just to make sure.
Oh, yeah. The first that I'd recommend is La Crema Chardonnay. This has a nice buttery taste and goes with the richness of the dish. And then my second choice would be Chateau Ste. Michelle, which is a little more crisp and price-wise is a little more reasonable, but it covers both very, very nicely.
So they're both Chardonnays.
Yes.
And that's what you would recommend to pair with this dish?
You could even put a Syrah with it, because there's some spice in that dish. But I would finish with what is one of my favorite. After that wonderful dinner, and a nice wine, a nice port would be very, very good.
As a way of finishing the meal.
Oh, it'll pick up the nutty taste of the dish. And I've been studying ports.
Yes. And what have you learned?
I've learned that 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, and 40-year-old are all very good. But for the price point, the 30-year-old's right where to go.
So it's a 30-year-old port to finish off this dinner.
Absolutely.
Thank you for inviting us into your kitchen.
Hey, thanks for coming. Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
My goodness. Oh, heaven. Gorgeous. And a flower. All right. We have just made with Chef Amy a Hawaiian blue snapper encrusted with macadamia nuts. It has a mango puree, shiitake mushrooms, and a flour. And just to make sure that this is going to be absolutely delicious, we have invited a celebrity taster. That would be our very own Brian Busby, chief meteorologist for Channel 9,
Yes.
who is a musician and a foodie and our celebrity taster. Brian, thank you for being here. Now you have...
Salute.
Salute.
There you go.
You have the task of tasting this. Now, you're going to have to do it. I know you can.
You know, this is tough.
I know. And after you taste it, we're going to want you to tell us what flavors you are enjoying in your mouth.
Okay.
And then Jack has paired this with a Chardonnay. It's La Crema from Sonoma. It's 2008.
Okay.
So taste away. And I'm going to have to taste this myself.
Okay.
Just to,
Now, do we know is the flour edible too?
if the flour is edible, I have
there
to
we
try
go.
that.
There we go. Okay.
And beautiful. And part of our experience, because we eat with our eyes first. You enjoyed this before you ever had a bite,
Well,
right?
the presentation is great, and just the way it's symmetrical on the plate, and
The colors. When it tastes right.
I have a little of the macadamia nut crust. I have a little bit now more of the fish. Blue snapper. Never heard of blue snapper.
It's more
heard of red.
delicate, and I think it works well with these flavors.
Nice
Got it.
roasted corn. And now, let's try the
I just got
the mango
potato.
sweet. There you go. Okay,
So we have sweet.
Yep, we have savory. We have good texture because it's very firm. At least on the potato and the fish is very flaky and delicate. So let me just get all that on the fork.
Okay, I had a potato here. Ooh, and some spice. And so if you mush it around, mush is a type.
Mush.
Mush. If you mush it around with a mango puree, then there's a party going on here.
Well,
A
I'm
party.
going to start mushing. Notice how we mush. This is the
You're
correct.
very good at this.
Well, thank
Brian.
you. Well,
I think it's from your musical background.
I am conducting a symphony in my mouth right now. Let's try it.
Okay, now what do you think of that with the Chardonnay? Stop myself.
Well, the Chardonnay is not overbearing,
Okay.
not too acidic, has a nice buttery finish, which is obviously going to help the seafood, and it really brings out the macadamia. So there's just a hint of just this, I don't know if it's the salt or maybe it's just the texture that I'm getting on the back. But with the mango, it's just all evened out, and it's a great pairing. This is good stuff. This is real good stuff.
Well,
Amy,
chef did good, huh?
and the flour is edible?
Yes.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Have a pebble.
I will.
Those look so pretty in salads as well.
What is that? Do we know? What the
don't.
flour is?
I should know.
Hey, what is it?
It's an orchid.
And the stacking is just amazing how you have the foundation, which is the potato. And then you got the encrusted fish, and then you just keep layering and layering. I mean, there's so many complex layers in this thing.
And I forgot to mention the corn salsa, but that's also just another texture and another flavor.
And another food group. So there you go. And the wine is just, it's just all working well together.
Well, Brian, I want to thank you. I know you have a very hectic schedule, and you are a Renaissance man, which is one of the reasons we invited you here.
Thank you.
Because art is just part of who you are and what you do, and we appreciate you taking time out to be our celebrity taster. Thank you.
Hi.
Good.
Thank you, Bonnie. This is good.